What's up, man? What's happening, man? It's your boy, your main man, CD Ron, back with another episode of Watch Your Narrative podcast. And man, do I have a wonderful, wonderful episode for you guys today. So much has this is a week two recap, of course, for the ZBL league, or in this case, uh, this is Watch Your Narrative presents the league. So this is going to be specifically relating to, of course, a week two recap. We're going to review, what went wrong, what went right, and then, of course, a few announcements to make as far as transactional things that have happened in the league known as ZBL. Where do we start, guys? Where do we start? So real quick recap. We started out with Kansas facing off against Oregon. And I've already kind of spoken to that a little bit during the commentary of the game. For those, you know what, and I actually know where to start. Let's go back to the commentary of the game. Some comments were made regarding special guests that was here. I'm just going to say excellent watchtower today, this particular Sunday. And I'm going to leave it there. But for those who did tune in, you were able to kind of hear what I did kind of say about Kansas and how they, to me, lost that game more than Oregon winning that game. So pushing forward, of course, Friday night, we had 4 games. We've seen a lot of action. UNC, undefeated team, went 0-2, of course, missing their, one of their star players, Greg, in the lineup. And also big news in the same week, basically a scheduling change of sorts for a big time player in Josh. So of course that kind of, it was a perfect storm for a disaster. So number one, let's go deep. Let's deep dive into this free agent or this pickup of Josh first. So number one, Josh, before the season, stated that, hey, my schedule has changed and, basically draft at your own risk. And, I can only play Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So, of course, every captain had the ability that he was on the draft board. Every captain could have said, I'm going to draft him and take a chance. Let's see if his schedule may change, whatever the case may be. No captain took the opportunity to draft him. No one took the chance. And I'll be honest with you, if my name would have still been in the hat as a captain, that 4th round pick would have been Josh for me. I've done it before. Lion had the same issue, still drafted him, ended up having a stellar season as well, as far as like me drafting him. When you put your name on a draft board, regardless of what goes on, as a captain, sometimes you just got to take the chance to take the opportunity on a Kawhi Leonard. Hey, he may not play but 50 games a year, but man, what if he just happens to have a Toronto run in the playoffs? And next thing you know, you find yourself on the right side of a championship. So you just sometimes got to take that chance. And a lot of captains did, no captain did it actually. And then, of course, there was going to be quite a bit of drama, if, the league, the commissioners were, of course, a lot of conversations. Sources tell me that there was a conversation once Josh got picked up that there was maybe been trying to force some loss. Is he eligible? Which to me, the rule of the letter book, he was on the draft board, and he was eligible to be drafted. Every captain had the exact same opportunity to take him in the draft. They didn't take him. So of course, when you allow this, and this is, and I'll give you a peek into a conversation I had with Josh myself before, and this was before this season. This was a previous season. The conversation that we had was, as a player that goes undrafted, there's significant advantages to that, because if you go undrafted, now you can see the landscape that sees before you, and history states or shows that no team that drafts their team stays with that same roster. There's going to be some type of whether a trade or whether a drop and pickup. It's happened every single season we played. So in this instance, Josh, whether it's true or false of his scheduling thing, whether he's playing chess, as some have mentioned earlier before, and is as well, he's playing a different level of chess and probably said at this point checkmate. Or I mean, he could have been seriously had an issue with the schedule. We know what happened with the storms in his area. So seemingly we're going to say that the latter was the issue. Schedule really happened, and now he's back. However, nothing in the rule book stated that he was ineligible to be picked up. So of course now he's able to take advantage of seeing what's across the board. From sources tell me there were 3 teams that the conversation were being had around. One of those teams, of course, the team he went to, Austin, team UNC, North Carolina, team Oregon, and then also team Syracuse as well. So there was opportunities for all 3 of these teams. I don't think Texas would have taken a chance with the personalities on that particular roster. Team Kansas as well. They're hitting on all cylinders, so don't necessarily want to rock the boat there. But however, those other 3 teams for sure having an interest in Josh's case. I mean, my goodness, being that caliber of a player, you have the advantage to see, hey, which team do I want to go to? Now, the captain doesn't have any control. The captain can't just draft. Bryant can't just draft me. Now, you gotta come to me and ask me, hey, do you want to play? And I can say no. Or, I can decide which team I want to go to. You're basically a free agent. You control your destiny at that point, and you've been able to go, in his case, 2 weeks and see a lot of game, a lot of footage to see, all right, I don't like the way they play. This team sucks, and I'm going to go play with this team. Now, there's been so much conversation around this, so many things. I appreciate, and I want to give a personal shout out to Denarius and the commissioner team. I myself, I've been on all levels of this league. I've been a captain, I've been a commissioner, I've been a player. I've been at this point now a reserve, an undrafted reserve, all these different things. So I've been able to see through different lenses. Some people haven't had the luxury of being able to see it through all of those lenses, but I appreciate them, announcing that, hey, we dropped the ball. And being on the other side of that, commissioner, you can't foresee everything. But I will say this, and there was some things that when this league first came back, background story, of course, when I was with MMA, having issues. So, and of course, started a chat to try to see if we could get the original league back up and operating. Had a bunch of different opinions and hearsays, all these different things, and it just didn't work out. But I one of the things I always disagreed is going backwards. I never understood, people when you have a progressive mindset, and yes, this is 2K, but at the same time, we're doing something organized here. This is an organized league. So when you learn from your mistakes that you have made in previous seasons, and obviously people forget previous seasons, there's a reason why the point system came up. There was a reason why the points were created. This is not the first time this has happened. People forget that when Chris was a captain, he was bringing people from the MMA league into the league in the middle of the season, and then was able to pick them up and able to drop a whatever player he wanted to drop, whether it was a role player, and now possibly pick up a better player. This is not the first time this has happened. This is not the first time Josh has done this. People forget Josh was picked up middle of the season in season 2 and was a significant upgrade from another player. There's a reason why the point system was created. Everybody wants to say, I hate the point system because it restricts the captains from making trades. Well, guess what? The captain just got to be smart. Choose your captains wisely, because whether you got points or you don't have points, and I hate to throw this guy under the bus, but you're always going to have a person that may do what Bryant did and just do a full swap. They don't want anything back, just no effort at all. No effort at all. So you have to then choose your GMs, your captains wisely, somebody who's going to put in the effort, the time to actually want to put in the work, because you can still make the points work out. You can still add the points up. The points were to make sure that from a salary standpoint, your team never makes the league unbalanced, because now that's what we're going to see going forward. Like, this league has been incredibly balanced through the draft. And even after, because some people say, oh, well, anybody who got undrafted, they had the least amount of points. Well, guess what? Adjust it, make an adjustment and say, like, because we did this in the MMA. We as commissioners said, hey, we're going to give points to everybody. We got on a call, and everybody that was reserved, we said, let's give them points by what their talent is. That way, if we know what's going to happen when someone does decide to drop someone and pick someone up, they can't say, I'm going to drop my 4th rounder and pick up a talent that is the level of a 2nd round pick. My point is that we just continue to move forward. Don't go back, because when you do that, now we're being reactive. Now we're having an issue that was a season 2, season 3 issue that we had already put in place to fix. Like, just because you don't like one aspect of it, don't forget why the rule was put in place in the first place. When we did the points as well, this was an entire league Zoom meeting. Everyone was invited. JP presented the points, and it made sense just because to keep the league balanced. Your captains, your GMs, the ones that say you're restricting the trades, guess what? Your trades are restricted anyway, because guess what? You're not going to want to trade your 1st for your 4th. You're not going to want to trade your 3rd for your 1st. It don't make sense. There's already restrictions with that. So make it make sense. Make the captain work. You want to be the captain. You want to be in control. You want to make your trades. Well, make it work. Because I'll be honest, I love the way the league was balanced. I don't care for what happened. And there's a lot of players that share the same sentiment as well. And once again, this is not a blame on the commissioners there. As I said before, I appreciate them just at least admitting to say I dropped the ball. There's plenty of things that were done, whether I was a commissioner in the original ZBL or the MMA, that a lot of people did not agree with. They were very vocal about it. So you're not going to get it correct. Only thing I say is just keep moving forward. When things are changed because of people, a lot of the things, it's been trial and error. Me and Daenerys and JP were the first 3 commissioners, and we one of the things that Daenerys said when we first got together was like, this is going to be trial and error. And it was definitely trial and error. There was things that we did that didn't work, we got rid of. There was things that worked and we kept. So keep the things that work to keep the league balanced, because that's all we all want. I'm not even on a roster, but I'm enjoying seeing balanced basketball. You don't know who's going to win, who's going to lose. Now, yes, UNC still got to go win. And I'm going to talk about that in just a second. I'm going to light some fires. I'm about to light some fires, but they still got to go and win. But from a roster standpoint, it just has made a lot. There's a lot more talent on that roster now. Just by name, I'm just talking by names. Josh is Josh. Very versatile, good player. Was struggling beginning of this 2K. And I'm a person that I pay attention to. What are you doing now? I'm not worried about your name. Forget the names, because names can change. At least in my book, some people's names don't change. They still draft them when they're shooting 15% from the three. But that's neither here nor there. But with Josh, that's a big name. That's a big name. So also too, going in, is there going to be a season 2? From what sources tell me, that there was no plans unless that has changed. There was no plans for a season 2. Are we doing people have asked, are we going to do free agency? Why are we not doing free agency? Oh, the free agency didn't go well the first time. That was because it wasn't planned. There was no points. There was no way to keep the league balanced. I'll let y'all deal with that. That's not my problem anymore. Now, let's get to these teams, man. Let's get to the impact of this. So, number one, I'm going to start with what happened. This is just a big issue, big problem. There are so many star players that will try their hardest to finesse their way into some type of win. And this has been going on for a year. So everybody who has, kind of made some comments on, whether Josh was doing this, I have receipt books very, very long of things that have been done by star players to make their rosters better, things that were underhanded. I can start with the original MMA when we merged with the league. When we did free agency originally, there was a point system, just like there is now in the what they did when I was with the MMA the second and third year. But that very first year, the year that did not get finished, there was a point system with free agency. Guess what? They got rid of it completely to form the super teams that they formed. The two teams, what Robbie's team did it. So Robbie, I don't want to hear you complain. I don't want to hear Kyle complain. I don't want to hear anybody complaining, because when the shoe was on the other foot, what did you do? 10 people, two teams, all said, we're just going to form a team so we can compete with the original ZBL league, which in their case, and I made sure I mentioned to them, they got theirs through a draft. And then the other two teams that came into the league got theirs through free agency. And guess what happened to the rest of the MMA? The rest of them are just, all right, well, you just got to figure it out. So who suffered? A lot of players suffered, because now the top talent all went to one team. And guess who made the finals? Those two teams that did that. So the finessing that people want to bring up, people have been finessing for a very long time. I don't forget, and I'm going to make sure I want to remind those that are talking about the finessing of the system. If you have finessed the system, then I would just kind of don't judge other people who did it, who are doing it. Is it right? No, I think it's weak. But a lot of players have done it. I already brought up the Chris thing when Chris was the captain, finessing of the rules. Season 1, changing bills. Help Greg be able to change a bill, finessing of the rules, right? So I've seen so many instances this season, someone getting a text message from a player to tamper and to say, hey, don't draft me. And that player, that captain rather, just rolling over and trading away everything for nothing. And then now that player was able to get on the team that he wanted to, at least the captain, what he preferred to be with, and then draft a team. Now, Josh, and to me, that was like a LeBron thing. I said this to JP last night. That was like a LeBron thing, what Ajante did. And then Josh comes up with the KD move. I don't like it. Nobody, I'm pretty sure most people don't like it, but it is what it is. I've seen too many people try to finesse the system, and these same players going to continue to try to do that because at the end of the day, if they get a win, that's all that matters. Because let's be honest, if we start really pulling these guys' cards, like what have you done? Let's talk about it. So let's talk about the teams that have been affected by this dramatic shift. I'm going to start with UNC. They have picked up Josh. They dropped JP. Let me make sure that I mention JP was at the moment of being dropped, averaging 14 points, 2.5 assists, 1.2 steals, shooting 50% from the field. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. 14 points a game, 2.5 assists, 1.2 steals for Mr. I can't play defense, and shooting 50%. And yet and still, for a name, an unknown name, also going to be very, very unknown with the chemistry and playing style was dropped and picked up Josh. So this is the roster: Petty, Greg, Josh, Phil, Austin. Very, very great lineup. And I'll be, and let me make sure I say this. If I was in Austin's shoes, I would have did the same thing. Like with it not being a rule put in place with the Josh situation, your Austin's job as a captain is to construct what he feels is the best lineup possible. The same way that Ajante felt like my chances of being drafted by Keyshawn is way better than my chances of being drafted by Bryant. Did I like it? No. As a star player, no, I did. I'm not a star player, make sure I'm nowhere near that. But as a person who is a star player, and to me, when you say certain things like leader of me, all these different quotes, and I'm the GOAT, everybody wants to say that they're this, that, and the other. But when it's time to put their shoes on, they're going to try to find an easy way out to get a win. And that's the part I don't respect. But being a captain, as Austin is, if anybody, unless the commissioners all decided that none of you guys can do it, if they decide, okay, now who's going to do it? Do I want Syracuse picking up Josh? No. Do I want Kansas picking up Josh? No. So I would rather take the chance of picking up Josh. Me personally, as I said before, I would have drafted him in the draft, me personally. But since nobody did, now we get this opportunity to get him. I would have probably did the same thing. Not even probably. I would have put my name in the hat to see if I could get that caliber of a player and hope. I've done it before. Had a great team and then took a chance to trade for Greg to hopefully think that this name would make my team better. Guess what? It didn't work. So my point is that they still got to play ball. So this is not a, oh man, it's over with. No. They still got to play ball. Because let's talk about it. Petty, averaging 12 points a game, 9 assists, shooting from the field, 38% right now. 3-point line shooting 47%. But just in from the field in general, shooting 38%. So not shooting entirely well at this particular moment. Austin, 10 points, 14 rebounds, 2.2 steals for a big. That's great. 1.2 blocks, shooting 50% from the field. No threes attempted. yet. But sources tell me that very soon there may be some three-point attempts. Phil is doing what Phil does on every team. Greg averaging 16 points, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and shooting 50% from the field, 43% from the three. So playing really great. So, but this is what I have to say to this team, UNC. This is great, horrible week with Greg being out. Of course, they're going to recalibrate that team now to see what they're going to be able to do. But the pressure's on you guys. The pressure is on you guys. Petty, champion, 2 times over. Greg, champion, MVP. Josh, champion. Field, champion. Finals MVP. Austin, champion, 2 times over. Multiple time MVP of the league. The pressure is on you guys. I've seen this before. I've seen stacked teams before. Greg has had a team where it was him, Terrence Petty. They didn't even make the finals. I'm just gonna be completely honest here. And I've said this in the chat. I'm sick and tired of talking about Greg's 27-7-7 in rec and in pro-am. Why are we glorifying this? Have we not seen this for the last 4 or 5? We know he can go and get a bucket. What I'm waiting to see, can you lead a team to a championship? We say you're the guy, right? We questioned Yoke for years. Can Yoke be the guy? Yoke is not the guy. He's not what we think he is until now he's a 2-time champ. We question Ajante. And the crazy thing is, and Ajante knows this, we still question him. 3-time champ. He's now, you can't say he doesn't run the point guard spot because we're going to get to his stats later on in just a second as well. But there's still a question. Can he lead? He can be the leader of men, right? So I'm not letting anybody off the hook. And nobody should. Because Greg talks about who he is. Show us who you are. He got the game. Can he lead the team at this point? Petty, can't question Petty. Now, as a point guard, I can. Can he do what Kyle has done? Become a guy now that has won and being a influential winner from the point guard spot and the center spot? I look forward to seeing what happens, right? Josh, you got what you wanted. You got what you wanted. Now, are you going to make this team better? Are you going to be the reason this team now goes undefeated or maybe loses one more game in the rest of the season? Or are you going to bring them down? Are you going to do your normal? Will you quit when things get tough? I want to see what type of player you're going to be. And Austin, as a big, Austin's going to do what he does. Austin's a 2-time champion, and most of the time as a champion, he has won as a role player. And this year, although being one of the more dominant bigs, he's still playing a role. He's not going to be an offensive crazy role, at least not yet. We'll see what happens moving forward into the weeks. But UNC, I chose this team even before Josh to win. I'm definitely not. I gotta stay on the. I mean, I gotta stay in the boat. I gotta stay in the boat. I'm in the boat with you guys, man. Listen. Like I said before, from a superstar standpoint, I don't like it. What has transpired from looking at the commissioner standpoint, I didn't like the way things has been done, to allow this to happen, so to speak. But it is what it is. After this episode, we can just let it go. And as Daenerys said, let's just play ball. But now the pressure's on because you guys have that stacked team that you ever so wanted. Let's see what you do with it. Now, moving on. And I really don't want to move on because I could talk about you guys for days, but I'm going to move on. Oregon was also affected by the landscape of the Josh pickup, JP drop. They were able to pick up JP while, as Daenerys pointed out, a mutual agreement to part ways, and they were able to pick up JP. I already read out JP stats, playing solid. It's going to need to really improve on the three-point shot, shooting 17% from the three. Also, Robbie is also shooting 16% from the three, and Brian is shooting 10% from the three. Their best three-point shooters so far, Kyle is shooting 50%, and Will is shooting 58%. So for this team to win, they're going to need to be able to knock down three-point shots. They're going to need, when you're looking at Kansas and the clip that they're shooting at, the offense that they're putting up, they're going to need to get better. And Robbie, this is the name that comes to mind, right? The reputation that comes to mind. He can do it, and I want to see him do it. JP, there was not a lot of spacing with that UNC team. This team in Oregon that spacing will be a lot better. And Bryant, I've played with Bryant. It's the 2K is 2K. Not only superstar players can blame 2K, because I had this conversation with another guy as well. I hate that when Petty shoots 38% from the field, it's 2K. If I miss a wide open shot, it's 2K. But if Bryant misses a wide open shot, no, it's Bryant. It's Bryant. And that's the thing that really gets on my nerves. So, yes, it's 2K. But is it Petty? Is Will? Is it Robbie? Can Robbie take better looks, take better shots, shooting 16% from the field? Yes, he can. Can JP get better looks, shooting 17% from the field? Yes. Can Bryant shoot better than 10% from the field, from the three-point line, excuse me? Yes, please do. I like this Oregon team. They know why I like this Oregon team. Played with Robbie for years, played with Will for a season, played with Kyle for a season, won a title with these guys. So I want to see these guys do well. JP is my guy, Ace Boone Coon. So I want to see him do well as well. I think this team, the cognac move, let's talk about it. I predicted that was a possibility. Sources told me that Josh was a conversational piece, and I just, it wasn't going to be Robbie, wasn't going to be Will with how he's shooting, and it definitely wasn't going to be Kyle. So the low man on the totem pole, because you can't drop Bryant, is Cognac. So when Cognac or Josh came in, JP got dropped, I felt this move could come about. I do feel like JP's play style is a little bit more fitted for this team. Will and Cognac are very similar players in a sense of being spot up, can go and get a bucket as well, but they're just more efficient. Will has rather been more efficient than Cognac this particular season. So I understand that JP, what has this done to this roster? I think that they may be a little bit better defensively. Offensively, JP is shooting great from the field, but not necessarily shooting that great from the three. So that's something that he's going to have to improve. And along with Robbie, along with Brian, like this team overall, they're not shooting great from the three. So that's something that they're going to definitely have to change in order for them to be able to win some games as a team as well. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, they're averaging about 6 turnovers a game and that's me including JP into this roster now. Not bad, not terribly bad, but want to definitely not cause that to be a problem, an issue. And I think going into this next week, as they circle back around, they went 1-1 in week 1. So let's see how they do going into week 3 when they face off against those same teams. We'll see what happens. Look forward to seeing those guys play. Syracuse, Ajante averaging 24 points, 11 assists, 1 turnover, shooting 65% from the field, 50% from the three. MVP-like numbers, right? They went 2-0 this week. Now they're 2-2. Going into next week, can they right their wrongs from week one? Can they right their wrongs to show that those games were flukes? We are, in fact, the best team in the league, which I projected them to be in that 1-3 realm. And, they're week one, I didn't know what happened, but week two, they're looking a lot better. What were the keys to success that I mentioned? One of them was rebounding. What did they improve on? Rebounding the ball. Keyshawn getting down there, getting more rebounds, averaging 3 more rebounds than he did last week. Uzi's went up even 1 rebound. So the team itself now, going to try to rebound the ball. People they're still in the lanes. Not a lot of paint presence there, but yet and still playing really good. One of the better 3-point shooting teams in the league. As I mentioned, Ajante's shooting 50%, Uzi shooting 46%, and the rest of the other 3 guys are all shooting 33% respectively. With this particular 2K, you want to see at least, you would like to see 35%, but you can't scoff at 33%. That's 1 out of 3 threes you're making. That's 2 out of 6 threes you're making. So we take what you can get when it comes to this particular game of 2K. They didn't make any moves, any adjustments. They went 2-0. So for them, like I said before, keys to keep doing what they're doing, playing great defense and rebounding the ball. Like, just continue to rebound the ball. And I think this team will be, one of the top teams, as I mentioned. Let's go to Kansas. Kansas. I already have, griped over the fact on Wednesday they dropped the ball, but they bounced back and blitzed UNC. They blitzed UNC in my game of the week. Of course, it was a Gregless UNC, but however, Hunter played like a madman. Hunter played great. Right now, averaging 14 points a game, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, shooting 53% from the field. Still struggling at right now from the 3, only shooting 14%. Luckily for him, he got a guy like B. Ross who's shooting 88% from the 3. Neal, who's shooting 67% from the 3. And then Martin, 43, Yodi, 47. So this team is an excellent shooting team. Everybody on this team is shooting from the field above 50%. So 51 for Yodi, 51 for Martin, 63 from Neal, 73 from B. Ross, and 53 from Hunter. So these guys are really shooting the ball at a high clip. B. Ross, honestly, right now, one of the better power forwards in the league right now, 13 points a game, 4 rebounds. And that power forward position is, to me, so important because it's that glue. You really need to touch every stat, and that's something that he is doing. He's touching every stat out minus the blocks, but shooting a great percentage, being aggressive as well. Played a league game where he didn't miss a shot at all. I want to say that was against UNC. So playing great. Martin went to the point guard position the last game. I don't know if that's something that's going to be a continuous thing there. But he is sharing the load with Yoke from an assist standpoint, averaging 4.7 assists to a Yoke's 6.5 assists. And I'm going to say this again. This team will go as far as Martin Texas. Like, this goes back to, with great power comes great responsibility, right? So I apply pressure to Greg because, yes, the guy he is what he is. He says he's like talent-wise, man, he has it. But I'm just tired of hearing about the talent. I want to see championships. So Martin, same thing, right? Martin won a title with just say what it is. Pretty stacked team, man. And it was nobody's fault but the other captains that allowed the team to get drafted. But he was dealt a very good hand. And if we're playing spades, he could probably get a Boston with that last team. But now this team is constructed a little bit different. But you're getting exactly what you want from those role players, those B. Rosses, the Neals, and Hunter is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's improved his rebounding. He was last week only averaging about 8 rebounds, 9 rebounds a game, and now he's at 11 rebounds a game, actually out-rebounded Austin the last time they faced off. And we know what type of monster that Austin is on the board. So, I mean, so great job to Hunter. As of right now, is currently looked at. This right now is the best team in the league, guys. This is the team to beat in this particular league. Yo, last pick of the draft. He had the last pick of the first round, was able to get Hunter and get Martin. And as I mentioned before, Martin's averaging 23 points a game, 4 assists, 1.7 steals. And I already talked about his shooting percentage. So once again, another MVP candidate. Should be should be leading the way. If I, being a analyst, journalist, whatever you want to call me here, for play here, if my vote right now for MVP would have to be Martin. I didn't like one of those games he had, but right now, so far, leading the team, leading the league in scoring, out second in scoring behind Ajante. And I mean, just playing really, really solid ball. And the most important thing outside of that is that they're winning. So that's all you want to see is Kansas to win it, continue to play good basketball. We'll see what happens into week 3. Week 3, can't wait going this circle back around. These teams have played each other before because now we get a chance to really see what will happen, what should have happened in week 1. Syracuse is a lot better team. They went 0-2, so I look forward to seeing what they do in their matchups going back around. UNC, they got a different look. They were 2-0. Now we're going to see, are you going to beat those two teams again, or have you gotten worse? And then let's go to Texas. Texas right now 1-3. They are, and I'm just gonna say it. They are currently constructed. Well, not currently constructed, but record-wise, the probably the worst team in the league as of right now. They're not gonna like to hear that, but the proof is in the pudding. The one game that they have won was against a Greg's UNC team. So, in order to change the narrative, because it's not really in this case, not even a narrative. I mean, it's just facts. You're 1-3. To change that, can't wait to see what happens going into week 3, because guess what? They lost a game against Oregon in week 1. They didn't even have Terrence. So is Oregon going to show now that, hey, we can beat you with Terrence as well? Or are they going to Texas is going to come back and say, yeah, the only reason you beat us, guys, was because Terrence wasn't playing? I look forward to that game, because then, I'll be honest, that's going to tell us in the league which team is better. Is Texas still possibly the worst team in the league, or are they improving? And is Oregon one of the worst teams in the league? And y'all proved it on the court. Your record states what the record states. So James right now averaging 10 points a game, 11 assists, 1.2 steals, shooting 36% from the field, 31% from the 3. So still struggling with the shooting right now. I don't think that will continue. 2K is 2K once again. Like, if star players get a chance to blame 2K, I'm going to blame 2K for James as well and say that this will improve. Terrence right now shooting 62% from the field, but only shooting 17% from the 3. So him as well, struggling from the 3, but still averaging 17 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.6 steals. So really touching everything there. And once again, shooting 62% from the 3. I'm from the field. So you know how he likes to get to the midi. And makes, of course, the right read, but still struggling from the 3. I'm sure that can improve. I'm sure that will improve going into week 3. But that was something that I mentioned before the draft, was that was a struggle point for him, at least when I was playing with him. And now I have played with him recently, and the shooting he's just like I knew he would. He's figured it out, letting it fly, as he would say. But it just needs to now translate to improving his 3-point percentage in the league. Cody, of course, made the transition over as as I projected, which I was hoping that he would, went into lock. Of course, played really great against UNC. Did not play as well versus Syracuse, however, but currently averaging 9 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, and, shooting 59% from the field, 50% from the three. So playing really well. And then Chris, averaging currently 18.5 points, 14 rebounds. I would say 15 rebounds, 2 assists, shooting a whopping 67% from the field, and even more, a whopping 91% from three. And this is not a guy who's he hasn't just taken 3 threes. This guy is shooting maybe 3 a game and shooting 91% from the field. So if the record wasn't what the record was, like if this team was 3-1, this would be my leading candidate for MVP right now. He is playing lights out. This is one of those performances and plays where you can say, like something that Greg would say, I did my part. You can't point a finger at Chris at this particular moment. 91% from three. That's a big 67% from the field, 18.5 points, 14.5 rebounds. So with 2 assists. So like he's playing great right now. What has to happen is now they had 2 games where they were able to put this new roster, because they did do a roster change. So with that roster change, they were 1-1. Now, as I mentioned before, UNC went into the game, had some injuries. So I'm really anxious to see going into week 3. After week 3, we're going to be able to see going forward what type of Texas team are we going to see. And if they go into week 3 and they are 0-2 and you change lineups already, what does a captain like Cody do? Do you just go down with the ship and hope that things turn around? Or do you attempt to possibly make some moves? I know that there is chemistry things there when you look at pieces that are available that you have to account for, but will winning matter more? Will winning matter more? And I'm just going to leave that there, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to win here. So let's wrap all this up in a big old bow. Number 1, I think the league really just picked up here. UNC favors to win it all. Will Greg be able to lead this team as he has done before? He is a champion, guys. Can he lead this team to a championship? Will Josh get what he wanted, which was to, get on a team such as he has to be able to further his chances of winning, which many players have done it before. So I don't want to hear too much complaining about it. Get over it. Get over it. All of you, get over it and play ball. Maybe if you stop finessing, everyone else will stop trying to finesse. Because as was mentioned previously, some people are playing checkers, some people are playing chess, man. And hey, if Josh wins a chip off this, I think he can rightfully so say checkmate. And if anybody else was involved in this, man, you guys are good. You guys are good. So now it's on the commissioners to make sure this don't happen again, because it was a finesse game. We also get a chance to see, can Kansas keep up with what they wanting to do going into week 3 as well. Look forward to seeing what Yodi and Martin continues to do as they lead this team into, what surely seems a excellent season for those guys. Can Texas turn it around? Can Oregon now with a new roster, can they get better? Can Robbie shoot better from the 3? I mean, these are all just questions that are just doable questions. Can Syracuse now, with them going 2-0 last week, will they go 0-2 against the teams that they lost against already, or will they change it around and we see now that they got it together and they're going to be one of the top teams, man? Look forward to it. Look forward to seeing what happens there. And for those who are still listening, there very, very soon will be a pod. If you didn't listen to the commentary due to a certain guest host, well, I'm going to tell you now, please listen. There will be an episode. Watch Your Narrative presents Truth by Rome. Done the show before. I have great guests on, like Austin, like Chris, like Greg. So I've, Bryant, Petty. I mean, the list goes on. I've had some great features there. And there will be an episode coming very soon that I will have with Brandon E. Grimes. Definitely look forward to talking about some things there, and look forward to, and I think that everyone that has whatever feelings, thoughts, whatever, I think it would be best if you were to listen, because there will be some hard-hitting questions that I will have for BG, but there will also be some things that we will certainly reveal. A lot of people always ask, how did MMA even come about in the first place? Well, that answer will be given from BG himself. Was he the person who even started the idea of coming up with an additional league? What caused it? Was it something that someone said or did to even cause that? Because we all point the finger sometimes at people, and we sometimes don't look in the mirror. So we will see what happens there. Look forward to giving you guys that particular content, that interview. And trust me, I won't let anybody off the hook. And I'm sure he won't let me off the hook either on a bunch of different things. But at the same time, my whole point of doing it is not to cause any additional, is to bridge a gap, guys. It's to bridge a gap. But hey, watch your narrative. If you have not, subscribe to the channel, guys. Every time you subscribe, you will get notification of new episodes. So I don't have to always tell you guys when a new episode drops. That way, you know yourself. It comes to your phone. It comes to your laptop. But hey, guys, thanks for showing up. Look forward to seeing week 3, week 4 ZBL. This is Watch Your Narrative presents The League. We out.